Yaoundé, Cameroon. 37-year-old Cameroonian tech-savvy computer science engineer Michel Nkwinja works focused into his laboratory of a dream of realities, located in the Mendong neighborhood of Cameroon's roughly 2 million inhabited people capital city of 7 years.
After the Elumelu'S foundation program in 2016, I received $5,000 and I used it to rent my first office, to buy equipment and to launch the company.
There are thousands of compelling success stories. The foundation itself is a compelling success story. The entrepreneurship program, because people said, you'll never do it. This is audacious. You cannot connect 54 African countries, French-speaking, Portuguese-speaking, English-speaking, Spanish-speaking, Arabic-speaking countries. We achieved that. You cannot, support women entrepreneurs. How are you going to ensure that women entrepreneurs are also leveraging from the opportunity? We went from 24% women business owners to almost 40% women business owners represented in the entrepreneurship program.
Cited by the Nigerian Vice President Yemi Osinbajo as one of the perfect testimonies of the utility of the Tony Elumelu Entrepreneurship Program, the young Cameroonian graduate of home and foreign classrooms, including Tunisia, is one of the over 7,000 young Africans across the 54 countries to have received a non-refundable seed capital of $5,000, that is, at least 3 million CFA francs, from this Nigerian business tycoon.
Well, personally, my family and I, through the Tony Elumelu Foundation, we support entrepreneurs across Africa. You must have heard about the Tony Elumelu Foundation Entrepreneurship Program. We support 1,000 Africans every year. We endowed the foundation with $100 million to support our young entrepreneurs so that they can play their own role in developing Africa. And the good thing, we have some people from Cameroon who are on the program.
The vision in Nokema is to bring Nokema be the biggest video game and entertainment company in Africa.
The idea of the empowering entrepreneurs obviously lies with Mr. Elumelu, himself an entrepreneur, an investor, a banker, who sees in the African entrepreneurs the opportunity to really economically transform Africa. And so he made a commitment of $100 million of his own wealth, so he walks the talk, and said he wanted to institutionalize luck and democratize opportunity. What he needed was someone who could really help him operationalize that vision. And I guess that's where I came in.
And this is the man behind this generation change to transform the continent with $100 million within a decade to train, to mentor and to provide money on a cash and carry system to produce 10,000 entrepreneurs to create 1 million jobs and worth at least $10 billion within a decade.
The reality of African entrepreneurs, lack of power, lack of electricity, lack of access to internet, the infrastructure challenges, the regulation challenges, the enabling environment challenges for entrepreneurs, the absolute decimation of the entrepreneurial class across the continent. And so it was important to build and create a program that was addressing and based on those realities. After 9 months, what emerged was what I called the 7 pillars of the Tony Elumelu Foundation Entrepreneurship Program. because I felt we must take a holistic approach to supporting entrepreneurs, yeah? That it's not one element or the other. The key to those 7 pillars was the 12-week training program. Every entrepreneur has a business idea, but how do you go from an idea to launching a business? The 12-week enterprise toolkit is an answer to that, a solution to that, yeah?
I decided to launch a venture, and it took me 10 years to do it.
Cameroon to me is like second home in terms of business. Cameroon is a very hospitable investment destination, and as I said when I was in Cameroon 2 months ago, private capital goes to where it is welcomed, and our private capital is in Cameroon because the people and government of Cameroon have been most receptive. We do good business in Cameroon.
To make this a reality for the target group, Tony Elumelu went philanthropic with the establishment of the Tony Elumelu Foundation, heavily dependent on technology to market the idea to all Africans.
How do you connect 54 African economies, 54 African nations through entrepreneurship, online and offline? Yeah? And technology was the solution. Technology is only an enabler. Yeah? It in itself is not a solution. So we built the technology platforms, and for me it was important that it was African software developers who were engaged in building those platforms. Yeah? So for the application, from a mental learning platform, to the alumni network, to before I left in 2019 in April, we launched TEF Connect, where we are now bringing the entrepreneurs, connecting them with the entrepreneurship ecosystem, investors, mentors, the DFIs, the development agencies, you know, the opportunities to trade through an online marketplace.
450 million Africans accessed the internet last month in June 2019. That's actually more than in the United States. So naturally, and most of Europe. So I think what that tells us is that the rapidity of the spread of the internet through smartphones and like the use of semi-smartphones, and that is linking people up, and it's tremendously important. It comes on the back of the cell phone revolution, where we went from maybe a few million landlines in Africa very, very quickly to about 500 million, 600 million cell phone lines across the continent.
We cannot underestimate the importance of entrepreneurship, especially the youth of the future. And the bank is always looking at areas where there's sustainability, looking at the future. And clearly the entrepreneurs, the African young entrepreneurs of today are our future. And definitely as a bank, we're very concerned and very supportive of this initiative because it does guarantee our future.
The foundation was framed 9 years ago, and the Tony Elumelu Entrepreneurship Program for Young Africans was hatched 5 years ago, and today has injected more than $25 million to propel a unique development model in Africa.
I think it's all about the little impact we're trying to create and make across Africa in the young Africans. I think that is what I believe others find extremely unique and significant. So if you ask me what is unique about 2019 Tony Elumelu Foundation Forum, I would say that it is the fact that first, it's our 5th anniversary of the entrepreneurship program, even though the foundation is 9 years old. And secondly, is the fact that we were able in 2019 to support over 3,500 entrepreneurs. Our commitment is that every year we will support 1,000 young African men and women to empower them and make them become entrepreneurs so that collectively all of us will develop Africa. But this year, we scaled up from 1,000 to 3,500. And to a large extent, this is because of the new global partners who also share in our commitment to developing Africa in a sustainable fashion, who share in our vision and commitment to empowering young Africans, whom we believe will be the new faces of Africa's development. So together, we were able to do 3,500, and I think that's why you see the kind of reaction that is coming.
Joe Chirpo in Uganda went with his $5,000, brought irrigation technology to Uganda, and is now training thousands of other farmers in his vicinity to be business farmers, right? Edmund Noni from Sierra Leone took his for-profit business and used that drone technology to support humanitarian organizations. You know, the amount of stories, I mean, I don't know how long you've got, you know, and those stories, you can read a lot of those compelling stories on the Foundation's website. But you know, the important thing is that we now need to tell more of those stories. So one of the ideas that I'm pursuing in discussion with Netflix, in fact, is really how do we begin to how can we get the African entrepreneurs to begin to speak about those stories? So when next time you have a panel, you have one person from government, possibly one person from the development agency, but you have 5 entrepreneurs who are able to share their entrepreneurial journeys, because it's only when we flip it that you will begin to see the impact and the vibrancy of African startups and African entrepreneurs.
Thank you so much, and thank you to the Tony Elumelu'S Foundation. We and the 60 entrepreneurs that are here with me today are absolutely delighted to be here.
Each year, 5 years on, the Tony Elumelu'S Entrepreneurship Program, held 4 times in Nigeria's commercial capital, Lagos, with the last being hosted in Abuja, the capital of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which today has become the largest gathering for entrepreneurs on the continent, with the support of governments as a pan-African movement.
My big brother, President Paul Biya, has been wonderful. He's been extremely supportive, you know, of what we do, and I'm happy to hear about this wonderful gesture to the young Cameroonians, you know. And I want to say a big thank you to President Biya on behalf of the Cameroonian entrepreneurs who came on the program, on behalf of all young African entrepreneurs, because they need this kind of support from our leaders. They need support like this. They need the right operating environment so that they can succeed. Last time I was in Cameroon on the invitation of the president, you know, again, it was all about small and medium-scale enterprise, how they can become the engine of growth for the country. So this is a good gesture. I would say let's keep it up.
Aided by the proceeds of his business empire, the Nigerian banker from one of the most modest families in the land of Obafemi Awolowo deals with governments and has partnered with agencies of repute worldwide to champion youth emancipation in Africa, by Africa, for Africa.
Senegalese government, through the delegation for rapid entrepreneurship, has sealed a partnership with the Elumelu'S Foundation, to a $2 million fund to support 200 young Senegalese entrepreneurs that have benefited from the sponsorship, mentorship, and seed funding from the Tony Elumelu'S Foundation to help them develop their business, access to markets, and also create value for Senegalese economy. So this was the objective of the signing this afternoon here in Abuja.
We have seen through impact assessment reports done by the foundation that if you train an African entrepreneur, mentor them, and put as little as $5,000 seed capital in their hands, that on the average they will go on to see an increase of 198% in the jobs they create. And so, just to throw a few figures, if we were to invest $5 billion in African entrepreneurs, that will empower 1 million entrepreneurs according to the system that we are using. And this 1 million entrepreneurs will create in the space of 24 months, 25 million jobs on the African continent.
If I were a young African at a time like this, I would feel very encouraged and hopeful that the world is finally listening, from within, from us. And this is what I say to my colleagues at the Tony Elumelu'S Foundation, that they should see themselves as being part of history. They are making history, orchestrating a new movement, a movement that will help to develop the continent. Because what we do at the foundation is not just about the 1,000 people we are supporting. It's about creating a continental platform that will attract investment to these young Africans who will help us to develop the continent. So what government like Benin Republic, government like Senegal, and what President Paul Biya did in Cameroon, these are great efforts. And in fact, even DRC too sponsored about 6-7 of them to come. So we welcome this, and we want African leaders to continue to support our apparatus, our young ones. We want them to help create the enabling environment that will enable these young ones to succeed, because that is much more important than the capital we provide to them.
At least 5,000 people with 3 presidents, one from the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Felix Tshisekedi, the other from Rwanda, Paul Kagame, and President Macky Sall from Senegal, attended this year's Tony Elumelu'S Entrepreneurship Program, which took place in Abuja, Nigeria, with 60 speakers and 102 young Cameroonian entrepreneurs attending the event.
I think extremism, in my viewpoint, is a product of poverty, extreme poverty. And I believe that if we deal with poverty, we'll address most of these issues, challenges from immigration issues, extremism issues, insecurity problems at home, and on and on. So our intervention in the development of Africa is to support young Africans, empower them, because as you know, the population of young Africans is huge. 60% of our population is under the age of 30. So we need to do something. This is what the United Nations Development Program and the Tony Elumelu'S Foundation decided to do, to work together to empower 100,000. Let's scale up. So we wanted to do 10,000, but from UNDP said, we can work with you to do 100,000. That's wonderful.
Their enthusiasm is possibly well justified, because the areas of intervention of the seed capital is extremely large: business, technology, agriculture, the service sector, and here, religion, race, sex, country, and identities are useless. Just an idea to transform Africa and decrease poverty is sufficient.
The government this time, the presidency in particular, did give support to bring the Cameroon laureates of the program, to fly them here and give them allowances to make it possible for them to be here this year. So we're very thankful about the support. Of course, we'd always like to have more support. We think for many years now, the amount of Cameroonians who have benefited from the program has been substantial, and I don't think Cameroonians have known about this, and we've been very timid in giving the sort of support that we should give, but I think it's starting now when you get this sort of high-level support, and I'm hoping from this year forth there are going to be a lot more participation coming from Cameroon.
To combat extremism, for example, in Africa, Tony Elumelu'S has entered into partnership with the United Nations Development Programme to sponsor 100,000 Africans within a decade with needed resources, especially from countries hard hit by terrorism, Cameroon, Nigeria, Mali, and Benin included, insofar as Boko Haram is concerned.
The first step is to say, let's start with the Sahel region. And Sahel and the Lake Chad region, less the 7 countries, Niger, Mauritius, Chad, Nigeria, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Cameroon. Let's start with this. And so that's the first announcement. But of course, you don't blame young ones. They are eager. They want to, they want to be impacted and affected or touched. So they are like, what about us? Even Nigerians, I'm from Delta State. Some people are saying, why is starting from another part of Nigeria? Why not starting from Delta? But the truth is, we realize that the poverty is a threat to all of us everywhere, so we must do everything possible to alleviate it.
The products of this initiative tell better the story of the multiplier effect in economics, as they have become real employers for the 12 million young Africans who enter into the job market each year on the continent.
Access to finance has been a problem, not just for young entrepreneurs, actually for the African, the indigenous enterprise sector. Access to finance has been a major problem. I think one needs to sort of approach it from quite a few angles. What's most important for banks is to have the perceived risk lending to startups.
This year alone, 2016 and 25 applications were received with a final threshold of 3,500 future business leaders honored with an alumni of 4,460 people coming from 54 countries involved in 20 different sectors.
It will take just one to go from an idea to an IPO to be able to fulfill and exceed that goal. So yes, I have every confidence that within the 10 years we will see a Tony Elumelu entrepreneur will go from an idea to an IPO, which will pay for the extraordinary amount of investment. Yeah?
The message of hope is that if people like me can get to where I am today, they can even surpass our achievements. And indeed, we are looking up to the next generation of African leaders, people who will take over from us and take Africa to the next height. And that is why my foundation's $100 million entrepreneurship program is all geared to helping Africans, young Africans who have ideas, to empower them and help them have their ideas, work on their ideas, materialize their ideas, and in hope that their ideas will help us create the huge employment that we need on our continent. So, with hard work, resilience, discipline, and thinking long term, and making sacrifices, you or they will surpass what we have achieved.
African governments and their first ladies have taken this as a challenge to canvass support to make what Tony Elumelu calls Africapitalism a new philosophy of continental advancement.
As an African, as somebody who was born and bred in Africa, and who has managed to make some economic progress in Africa, I have decided as a person to set aside a percentage of some amount from what I have.
Absolutely.
And that's why the sum of $100 million is a lot of money. And say every year,
it's too much money even for African economies.
As every year, we support 1,000 Africans who have business ideas, no collateral, nothing, just ideas. I don't know you, I don't know you, and we'll give you money to start your business.
Okay.
That is economic empowerment. That we do. So it's different from banking, and bankers make banking decisions. I'm no longer a banker.
And in the era of the African common market, expected to create the largest single trading bloc in the world, with plus 1.2 billion consumers, Tony Elumelu'S Africapreneurs seem to be one of the best hopes to believe, to aspire, for there is a place for those who dare to dream, at least with Tony Elumelu.
Who lied to you?